Good morning and welcome to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care, and it is a Friday edition, and what an edition of the program we have. We have Gator great Amanda Lorenz from softball, and in the second portion of the program, we're going to have Athletic Director Scott Stricklin. But let's go straight to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined with Amanda Lorenz out in California. Good morning, Amanda. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you doing?
Maybe I should just call you Mandy Softball, right? That'd be a lot
please
easier.
don't. Please don't.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. First of all, when I get all the athletes on my show, I like to go back to when they were young kids, growing up wherever they grew up. And obviously, you're a California girl. Did you always play softball? Did you play any other sports growing up?
I played softball and a little soccer, played basketball once, was terrible. But really softball and soccer growing up, and got to the point where softball got really competitive. And so I kind of had to make a decision. And so it was easy for me to kind of give up soccer and just focus on softball.
Gotcha. So obviously, reading up on you, I mean, you played on all these different travel teams out in California. But as a California girl, obviously, that's where softball kind of originated, especially from the collegiate standpoint. How difficult was it for you to leave the state of California to come to Florida? Because I'm sure UCLA, Arizona, Washington, all those schools wanted you as well.
It was really, I think it was good because I had some travel ball teammates that were also going to Florida. And so I had like this sense of family already there. I'd been committed for a long time. So built relationships with other recruits. And so it really wasn't that scary. I think it was really good for me because I was a big homebody growing up. And it was really good for me to be pushed out of my comfort zone, and didn't have mom and dad there every second. And so I was really blessed where they came out a lot, but it was really good for me to grow up in that, and I just had to be independent and worry about myself.
Who were some of the other on your travel teams the girls that came to Florida?
Justine McLean, Janelle Wheaton, and Sophia Reynoso.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Reynoso
so those were the three teammates.
No doubt about it. So, okay. Yes. So when we go back through your recruiting process, obviously you mentioned a lot of the girls that you grew up with came to Florida, but what was it about Coach Tim Walton that made you feel good about signing as a Gator?
We just clicked right away, and he reminded me a lot of my travel ball coach, Mike Stith, and Mike just had the ability to get the most out of me and in all aspects, and really pushed me to be the best, not only softball player, but leader and person, and just challenged me all the time. And so I kind of got that same feeling from Coach Walton, that I was just going to grow more than just a softball player at his program. And we just clicked. So he reminded me a lot of Mike, and that was obviously super familiar to me, and loved the way that Mike coached me. And so it just felt like I was going to have that same experience at Florida.
Yeah, Tim's had a lot of success bringing girls from California. He plays that tournament out in California early in the season every year, so at least your family members get to watch you. Was it difficult, because in football, a lot of kids don't go that far away from home. They're usually kind of in the same region. Was it difficult being that far from your family?
I think that I credit this to Coach Walton, but like the culture at Florida, like it's super cliche, but I felt like I had a new family in Gainesville, and I was super fortunate that my parents came out a lot to watch me play, which I was really thankful for that. So I think that it was like the perfect blend of having my family there, a really good amount. And then I obviously was super comfortable in Gainesville and had really, really good friends who became my roommates, really became my family. And the staff, everyone. I think that they create like such a family atmosphere in Gainesville. So it was a really easy adjustment, and definitely was really blessed that my parents came out a lot to watch me play.
We're speaking with Amanda Lorenz. You can follow her on Twitter at Amanda Lorenz 18. Is there any reason why you wore number 18?
It was just the first number that I chose when I started playing softball. I asked my dad when
Okay.
he played baseball when he was younger, and so I asked him what number he wore, and he said 18. And I was like, cool, I'll wear number 18, and just stuck from there on. I just always wore number 18.
Very cool. Well, Amanda was SEC Player of the Year, your first in career batting average at 407, first on base percentage. You hold so many records here at the University of Florida. In my opinion, Tim Walton and Sam Walton are very close friends of mine, and I've been to Oklahoma City. I went the year we lost the first time he played for the national title. I believe it was against Washington and Danielle Laurie, that crew. But to me, going
Mm-hmm.
out to the College World Series, I've been to national championship football games. I've been to the Final Fours when we play for the national title. That experience in Oklahoma City is right up there with those. It was a lot of fun for me. Talk about what it was like for you playing in the College World Series.
I've always been a kid that just loves the game of softball. So I grew up watching the World Series and just being obsessed with those games and learning. And so it was just a dream come true to walk on the field. And I had never gone as a fan. So to go as a player and see that many people in the stands for a softball game was really awesome, and just made like someone who loves the sport just so proud and excited for the future of softball. It was just a really insane, exciting atmosphere, and everyone told me it was going to be so cool. But it would really just blew out any expectation I had of how cool it was going to be. It was really like the best time of my life.
Let's go back to 2018. You're a member of Team USA. You also, which to me, this is one of the most phenomenal stats I've ever heard of in sports. You reached base safely in every freaking game in 2018. I mean, that's impressive. I don't know if I've ever heard of that from a baseball player or a softball player. Just talk about 2018 being part of the Team USA, and gosh, reaching base in every game is amazing.
Thanks. So Team USA was awesome. So I actually never made a roster. I was a pickup player a few times. So they had someone that got injured and so needed someone. And so I was there and got to go to Japan and play in Irvine, California too, in front of a lot of friends and family, which is really, really cool. But it was just unreal to go to Japan and play softball. It was really special and just an amazing experience. And it was fun to play with a lot of the teammates that like former teammates, or I played with Delaney Gorley, who is a current teammate on the Gators. And I just learned a lot. It was really fun, made really good friendships. And then as for getting on base every year, I mean, every game, that was really awesome. I don't think that it really I know they talked a lot about it, like on TV and things like that, but I tried to not think about that stat or worry about it. I was just worried about winning and finding a way how to help the team win. So I remember our last game in Oklahoma City that year, and obviously everyone's bummed and super sad, and Coach Walton came over and said, well, at least you got on base every game. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about it, but it is really cool. And I think that is just a testament to like how hard I worked in the cages, and really took my work so seriously. And I think that happened because after my freshman year, I was frustrated and had all these high expectations, and Coach Walton kind of challenged me. He's like, you can't have these expectations and not back it up with your work ethic. Like, yeah, you're working hard, but your expectations are more than anyone that I've coached, really. So if you're going to have these really high expectations, then you have to match it. You have to match your work ethic. And so I was like, oh, you're right. Okay. And so I increased my swings a lot sophomore year, and it translated into junior year and just helped with that consistency.
Speaking of high expectations, you were outstanding in the classroom as well, academically. You know, the way softball travels, I mean, sometimes you get to fly, sometimes you're on buses. How difficult was that to keep up with your schoolwork while y'all were traveling? Because you played those 3-game series, you have a midweek game. How difficult was it to stay on top of the books?
It really wasn't. I think that we have the best resources at Florida, and they were really awesome. Even my professors were really awesome about either taking exams early or taking them a few days later because we were traveling. And then also I was really fortunate my first 2 seasons, so freshman and sophomore year, also both springs I had all online classes. So that was huge for me because that meant that I could spend way more time at the field, way more time in the cages, and didn't have to worry about those class conflicts. I could do everything from my computer, didn't miss class when we went on the road. And so I really didn't miss a beat when we would go on the road. So I was really fortunate for that, really thankful for that. I know a lot of kids don't really like taking online classes, which I totally get, but for me, it worked. And it was real. My main priority was to be out early hitting every single day and be able to hit as much as possible. And you can't show up that early to the field if you have class. So it was awesome for me to be able to just do my classwork either early in the morning or late at night, and kind of I didn't miss a beat when we traveled. So I think that was the reason that I was able to still stay on top of my schoolwork so well, and take summer school every year. And but Tony Meacham, who is our academic advisor, he's like the best of the best, and really helped so much. And I know that I wouldn't have graduated early and gotten my master's without all of his help.
We're speaking with Amanda Lorenz on the Titan MR hotline here on Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. So early in your career, you were an outfielder. And tell me about how the conversation, yes. Tim Walton came to you and said, hey, we need you to play first base.
So I actually had been playing some first base with USA. And he knew that my best way of making the roster would be if I kind of switched to first base and kind of honed in on those skills. So it actually first started because he knew that I had goals of playing in the Olympics and making a Team USA roster. And my best chance was being able to be a first baseman. So he helped with that. And then it just so happened, he's like, wait, we might actually need you to play a little first base too. And I was like, cool, great, let's do it. And it was a great timing because I think senior year, you're used to how things go. And I was used to playing the outfield. I played left field for the first 3 years, every game of my career. And so it was really fun to like switch and kind of feel like a rookie again and learn so many new things and be able to talk to my teammates between every pitch. That was really fun for me. I got to learn a lot. It made me feel like a freshman again, honestly, of how much I had to learn and learn from my teammates and communicate with them. It was really awesome. And I'm thankful that it happened my senior year because it just switched my perspective on things and made practice a little more exciting, which I didn't need help with. I loved showing up to practice every day, but it was really fun to learn something new.
Speaking of practice, talk a little bit about Coach Walton, the kind of practices he runs. You know, I know he's a very organized coach, but, you know, and it's kind of hard to see Coach Walton. I mean, does he get on the girls at times? I mean, you know, in football, coaches scream and cuss and yell. Coach Walton ever have any kind of explosions like that?
He does, but not in the same way. Like, he didn't cuss at us ever. He really keeps us cool. You could tell when a big weekend would come up. Yeah, when a big weekend would come up or something like that, and we weren't having the best practice, he would have like a little freak out. But I mean, we always deserved it. It was never like we didn't do anything, and he was just having a bad day and took it out on us. But mostly for us to like refocus and things like that. And but for the most part, he kept his cool. And then as for practices, obviously, you know, he's super, super organized. So everything that we did had a purpose, and there was a lot of thought process and definitely a lot of discussion with the coaching staff before we would do anything at practice. So he was a big routine guy. We would do a lot of the same things, but never without a purpose. And I think we all knew that we didn't do something just because the coach wanted us to do it. There was a reason for doing it, and there was a reason that it was going to help us in games.
Amanda, when you look back at your career, I mean, obviously, as I said, I think you're the greatest softball player we've ever had here. You know, take the pitchers out of there. But
thank you.
I mean, you had so many game-winning hits, clutch plays. Is there one moment that you'll always remember, maybe the greatest moment you had as a Gator?
I think that my favorite moment is when I was on second base when Jordan Matthews hit that walk-off home run against Texas A&M to take us to the World Series. So that was the best moment that I've ever felt. Like, my heart just exploded in that moment. I remember like ugly crying after I touched third running into home because of just how special that moment was. But as for like a personal moment, I think that we were down down by 2 runs in the national championship versus Oklahoma in game 1. It was the 12th inning, 2 outs, 2 strikes, and I hit a double in the left center gap to score 2 runs that tied the game. And personally, that was a really, really cool moment for me to be able to come up clutch for my team in the national championship game. That was pretty nuts. And their pitcher was throwing gas, like 72, 73 miles an hour. And I remember the first 2 strikes that went by, I didn't even see. I was like, wow, how am I about to swing the bat right now? Because it's so fast. It was dark, late, and but to come up clutch and look in the dugout and see everyone going wild was really awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of throwing gas, you were probably still in high school, but Tim had a swing for cancer or something against Danielle Laurie, and I got to be one of the celebrity hitters. Nobody touched Danielle Laurie except your boy right here. I hit a blooper over like the second base area, but as the years have gone by, it was a line drive off right center fence. But I played high school baseball, and I got in the batter's box with her, and I was like, holy cow. I don't know how I hit her. She was mad. She threw me a changeup on my last pitch, and I had no chance.
Oh, I know.
It's a scary
I'm sure
thing.
She still remembers it.
I mean, I don't know how you girls do it. So let's talk about, baseball players are very superstitious. Is Amanda Lorenz superstitious? Do you have a certain way you get prepared before every game, something you have to eat, anything like that?
Yes, I'm very superstitious. I have the same pregame hitting routine, so I'll do that every day. But I think that's more just because I'm a routine person. I don't really count that as like one of my superstitions. But like, if I had a good day the day before, then I would do the same thing and roll with that for as long as it would work for me. So I would eat the same thing. I would wear the same sliders, same sports bras, same hairstyle, same socks. I would wash everything. I was never like that insane where I would like wear dirty stuff. I'd always like wash my clothes, but it would be the same thing. I tried to just replicate exactly what I did the day before, and meals, everything like that. What I would drink, if I got a specific coffee order that day, I would stick with it. Definitely very superstitious in that aspect. And then if it didn't work, like I would throw the earrings off. Maybe it was the earrings, and then I'd get a hit, so I blamed it on the earrings, like little things like that.
No doubt. Talk a little bit about Sunflower Saturday. What that means to all the girls that play here at the University of Florida.
Yeah, that's my favorite topic. So came in freshman year, and I knew why they wore sunflowers, but I didn't like really know. And so Aubrey did a great job of teaching the freshmen why we wear the sunflowers. They're for Heather Braswell, who we adopted through Friends of Jacqueline Foundation. Yellow is the color of pediatric cancer. She loved sunflowers too. So they decided to wear the sunflowers every Saturday to honor her. And then in the postseason, we'd wear them every game. So obviously we get more TV time in the postseason, and it's our reason for playing. So it's awesome to bring awareness at that time to pediatric cancer and just show those kids that we're playing for them and thinking of them, and we're in this fight with them. So it became just super personal for me. I think that I always played softball because I loved it and I wanted to be the best, and I was super competitive. But to come to Florida and gain a different purpose for playing softball was really awesome. And to learn like I can do something with this platform was really, really cool. So my senior year, I asked Coach Walton if he would be willing to adopt another adoptee from Friends of Jacqueline Foundation. And he said yes. So I signed our team up. And we got matched with Hartley Georges, and she was recently diagnosed with medulloblastoma. So she joined our team right before Thanksgiving, my senior year, so 2018, and it was the best thing to ever happen to me, was building a relationship with her and her family, and just to see them battle cancer with such grace and faith and strength was just unbelievable. And it was really cool my senior year, when a year that you get really nervous about what's next, and I can't believe this is all my last. So especially with someone that heavily identifies in the game of softball. So I think that having her there to put things in perspective at a time like that was so special for me. It was no longer that I was playing for me in my senior year, I was playing for Hartley, and to bring her smiles and laughs, and she greeted me with the same smile whether I hit a home run or I struck out. So I think the first time that I struck out and she gave me a high five, it quickly put things into perspective that it was okay, and life goes on. But and I'm still very, very close. I was in Gainesville last week and drove up. They live about an hour and a half from Gainesville. Drove up and spent some time with her and her family, and they're just. I'm very, very close with their family now, and I know that they will be in my life forever.
That is so awesome. Let's talk about, you were the second pick in the draft in 2019 by the USSSA Pride. How did you enjoy your first year, and what's the status right now? Are y'all going to be able to play at all this summer?
Yeah, so my team, I played for the USSSA Pride, and we actually left the Pro League after last season. So we are an independent team now. So the Pro League is not playing. They canceled their season this year, but Pride, we're still on. So we are playing another independent team for most of the summer this summer. So I'm very thankful and excited for that. First season was awesome. So loved every second. It got cut short. It tore my meniscus right before the halfway mark of the season. So, but I was really fortunate to learn from a lot of really, really talented softball players, and it was really fun to be involved with how competitive they are. I just learned so much in that short period of time. Then was fortunate after I had surgery, I went back with the Pride and stayed in the dugout all season to help in any way that I could and just continue learning and supporting. And it was good for me I'd never really gotten a big injury like that. So it was cool for me to, obviously it sucked not to being able to play, but it was cool to be on the other side and learn how to contribute in a different way. How am I going to help the team win, even though I can't contribute on the field? So I was really fortunate that they allowed me to still stick around and chart pitches and talk with the hitters and find out their plans. And I learned a lot, and it was awesome just to build those relationships with my teammates heading into the second year. I'm really excited to get back. We'll be heading back in a few weeks.
Good deal. You got to be like a graduate assistant, student assistant this past year with Tim Walton. Obviously, the season cut short. I mean, I can't imagine what it was like for those seniors. I know some of them are coming back, some are going on. But did you enjoy being, quote, a coach?
Yeah, it was so much fun. I learned so much, and obviously I love those people so much. So it was really awesome to stay around and continue to learn from Coach Walton and Coach Thomas and Coach Bosch, and just to stay around that program. Obviously, it means so much to me, but I'm biased, but I think it's the best of the best. So to stay around and learn and pick their brains and help in any way that I could, it was really awesome. Really sad that it got cut short, but I learned more in this year than I think I did in my 4 years as a player there. I learned so much, and I can't believe how many conversations happen behind the scenes and how much thought process they put into everything. It's truly insane the amount of detail that they pay attention to everything.
Last thing for you, Amanda. How cool is the new facility? I mean, I've got to tour the locker room, all that stuff. I mean, it is so awesome.
It's so awesome, so special. I know that we were just so thankful and excited to get in that place, and obviously Coach Walton deserves it with the amount of time that he puts in, and obviously his winning percentage speaks to that too. But it was so thankful, and I'm just so proud to be from a place like Florida, like that treats like their female athletics the way that they do. I mean, it was amazing to be treated exactly like all the male sports on campus. I mean, they made softball a priority, and they stuck to that plan. And as a recruit, I was told that they make softball a priority, and I always felt that way. And it was just, it was really special to see that work come to life was awesome. And I know that every day we set foot in the facility, especially the ones that we're in the old facility, know how awesome it is, and we're all just so thankful. And come on, it's so exciting to go to a place like that every day and get to work with how beautiful that facility is.
No doubt. Well, that's Amanda Lorenz. You can follow her on Twitter at Amanda Lorenz 18. We appreciate you joining the program. And we will talk to you soon. Good luck this summer playing softball.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Go Gators.
All right. We're going to take a time out here. When we come back, we'll be joined by Athletic Director Scott Stricklin. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice for rug cleaning. And Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, and Davis Chevrolet.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown!
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We want to thank Amanda Lorenz for joining us in the first portion of the program. And now we're going to be joined on the Titan MRI hotline, Florida's Athletic Director, Scott Stricklin. Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Shane, how you doing, man? I'm great.
I'm doing great. I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's crazy times right now, but we're going to talk a little Gators. But I like to go back and talk about people's how they got to where they are. You're a Mississippi guy like myself. You grew up in the Jackson area, went to Jackson Prep. Did you always know that you wanted to get, you professionally work in athletics?
I think I did. I played some sports in high school. I played football till I had mono going into fall camp my sophomore year, and it kind of derailed me. And I just thought I'm not going to catch up, so I'm not going to play anymore. But I was actually the sports editor of my high school paper. So at one point I thought I might use media to get into it, kind of like what you're doing now on the back end of your career. But I so I went to Mississippi State and actually had figured out there was something called sports information or media relations, which was kind of a combination of working, you work for the university, but work with the media. And I volunteered to work as a student worker and figured out that was a path I could get in. I wanted to be around sports. I didn't know how to do it. And that just kind of fell in my lap.
So did you grow up in a Mississippi State family? Because as we know in that state, it's pretty much maroon and white or red and blue. You could throw a little Southern Miss black and gold, but it's one or the other.
Yeah. So my parents are both from Kentucky, and they moved to Mississippi for work reasons right when their family was being born. So they didn't have any allegiance. And my brother and I actually both grew up Ole Miss fans because we had neighborhood friends and people from church who would take us to games when Ole Miss played in Jackson, as you remember, Shane, back in the day. Both Mississippi State and Ole Miss would play a handful of games each year in Jackson because their campus stadiums weren't very big. And I would go to all those games, State or Ole Miss, but I became an Ole Miss fan. And then lo and behold, my brother ended up following a girl to Mississippi State. And so I would go up and visit him quite a bit. And when it came time for me to choose, that's where I decided I fit better.
So you and I are pretty much the same age. I got to ask you, where were you the night in 1992 when it was a debacle for the Florida Gators there in Starkville on that Thursday night?
Yeah, Shane, I was there. and that was my. I had just graduated. That was my first year after graduation of college, and after I graduated, I caught on kind of an entry-level job there at MSU. And so I was there working for the athletic department. I was, at that game. I remember that was a big deal for Mississippi State, for the mighty Gators, defending SEC champion Shane Matthews, Mississippi native, to come into Starkville on a Thursday night, and then for us to play as well as we did. That was huge for that school. But something else I remember about that game, I remember it was a really good game for Mississippi State, but we had a quarterback named Sleepy Robinson, who was more of a runner than a passer, but was a really Watson Brown, the offensive coordinator, put him in. Really, it was a spread before anybody called it the spread. It was a really tricky kind of running spread type offense for the early 90s. And Sleepy got his knee blown out like in the first half of that game. And that was a really good team, and we were able to beat the Gators that night, and we weren't quite the same. We ended up having a decent year. We weren't quite the same after Sleepy blew his knee out. So that was kind of a bittersweet night for Bulldog fans. I know it was a tough night for the Gators, though.
Yeah, Sleepy and I were roommates in the North-South Mississippi All-Star game. Scott, so you've been around at a lot of different schools in the SEC. I think you've been to Auburn, Kentucky, obviously the AD at Mississippi State. Now being the athletic director at Florida, I mean, Florida is one of those premier jobs for an athletic director, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's, I think anything you do in college athletics, if you get a chance to do it at Florida, that's pretty special. And whether that's competing as an athlete, which you chose to do, or if it's coaching or working in administration. I've been in, really since I was a freshman in 1988. So that's 32 years around college athletics. And all but 4 of those years have been in the SEC. So nearly 3 decades working at an SEC school. And the entire time you're in the SEC, Florida is the benchmark. That is what everybody compares themselves to on anything. It could be how they're treating their athletes. It can be what they're paying their coaches. It can be what their facilities look like. Florida is what everybody kind of holds himself up to. And it's a huge credit to certainly Jeremy Foley and the job he did for all those years. And the coaches that were part of this program, the Steve Spurriers and the Urban Meyers or the Billy Donovans or whoever it is. And it's really, the opportunity to be a part of Gator Nation is really special. I tell our athletes and I tell potential recruits, there's something really special when you get that call asking if you want to be a Florida Gator, because not many people get that call, and it's really special.
No doubt about it. Scott, you did some great things at Mississippi State facility-wise. Obviously, my daughter went to school there. Dan was her football coach. Now my son's playing for Dan. It's kind of cool. But the things you did, for their football stadium, that dang baseball stadium at Dudy Noble now is ridiculous. How is our new ballpark here at Florida compared to Dudy Noble?
Well, it's funny. I was just out there checking it out. I go out there about once a week to the new Florida ballpark. Dudy Noble is really special. There's a lot of history there, and I think we had a chance to design something there that was really at a different level among all the other college ballparks when Dudy Noble was designed. I think the Florida ballpark in some ways is going to be nicer still, because we were, we used a lot of the same design people, and we're able to learn some things that we did differently. Another thing, it's a totally new site. Dudy Noble is on the same site. Actually, the dugouts are the same that was in the previous stadium. This is a totally new site that the Florida ballpark is going to be on. So you got a chance to really start from scratch. I will say that, the atmosphere that the fans at Mississippi State have created in baseball is probably akin to what Florida has in football, just from a standpoint. It is the thing to do in the spring for the whole state, but especially that community. We got great baseball fans here, and I think our ballpark, I don't know if there's going to be a nicer one in the country. I think our challenge is going to be, how do we create a really unique, passionate culture that and how does the stadium help give us the opportunity to do that? I really think there's a lot of memories at McKeithen Stadium. I don't know that it was the most fan-friendly ballpark, and we have a really good fan base, like I said, for baseball, but I think they're going to find in the new park that they're going to have a chance to experience the game in a lot of different ways, and it's going to become more of a social gathering as much as it is going to see a game, which I think for the sport of baseball really fits. So I'm fired up about it. I can't wait. I've told people this before, that our plan was to try to host the regionals there this year. And so we would be, here at the end of May, getting ready to host our first ball games in the new ballpark. We're going to have to wait about 8.5 months now, but it's going to be fantastic, and our fans are going to love it.
Speaking of McKeithen Stadium, it's a shame that the season had to be ended and that you can't finish the final season there. When will that be demolished, and is the football facility still on schedule to be constructed?
Yeah, we'll start late June, early July with the demolition of that site where McKeithen is, and that's going to be, I used the word bittersweet earlier. That's going to be bittersweet for sure, but it's really going to set us up to be able to move into the football project, and so all that starts June, July, and right now we're still on schedule. What the world looked like 3 months ago, we couldn't have imagined. I mean, today what we're dealing with. I don't know what it's going to look like 3 months from now, but trying to be optimistic and plan for the best. We can always scale back if we need to, and by scale back, I mean we can adjust our timeline if we need to. We're not going to scale back the project. But right now, the plan is to move forward on schedule and get that thing going this summer. And it's about an 18-month construction project. But once you get a shovel in the ground and you start seeing a building like that come up out of the ground and taking shape, the energy that produces for a program. I think our baseball team saw it with this ballpark, and football's going to see it with that new Hebner training complex. It's going to be really special.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're speaking with Scott Stricklin, athletic director here at the University of Florida. Scott, we had Amanda Lorenz on earlier, and we talked about the great softball facility that she was able to play in. I think it's one of the best in the country. From an athletic director standpoint, especially in our conference, because it's so competitive and so many good teams in all sports, how difficult is it from your standpoint to keep up with the Joneses in the facility race?
I try not. I don't think it's healthy to look at it from the standpoint of keeping up. I think you want to make sure that your student athletes, your coaches, your staff, and your fans have facilities that are going to allow them, from an athlete coach standpoint, to develop to their fullest potential, give them the tools and the resources, and give them what they need to be as good as they can be. And then to be able to compete in a facility that not only is beneficial for them, but something the fans can really enjoy. And so, the way I try to think of it is what's the best facility that we need for the Florida Gators?
Mm-hmm.
What do we need? I don't know that that's waterfalls in a lobby, and you see people doing that kind of stuff. I don't know that we need that. I don't think that fits us. Recreation space outdoors that takes advantage of the great weather we have in Gainesville that allows all of our student athletes to come together and engage in that. And also we can show recruits part of what it's like being outside in Florida 12 months out of the year. I think that's something that makes sense. So it's really important that you're putting a why behind the what, and not just doing stuff because you heard another school has it. And it's one of the things I think our coaches really understand. They're grounded in that way. And the fact of the matter is, we are at the University of Florida. We have a lot of advantages for young people who want to come from a recruiting standpoint to be a part of our program. We just need to make sure we give them every tool and every resource they can. And on the other side, where we're talking about the ballpark or anything we may do in the future at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium or any of our venues that host fans, the softball stadium's a great example. We want them to come in and just take on a different feel that's really uniquely Florida, because we have a great culture here. We want to use those facilities to exhibit that.
Scott, the COVID-19 issues, obviously, it's probably the most difficult thing that you've had to deal with as an athletic director. And Florida is so good in our spring sports here. We win so many multiple championships, whether they're SEC or national championships. How difficult was it for you this year as athletic director when we had to cancel all these spring sports?
Oh, that was, that's challenging. That's no fun. I mean, the games are part of the juice of what we get to do in this, in enterprise is whether you're an athlete or a fan or someone who works in athletics. Going to the game is, and the unknown of what's going to happen, right? One of the things I always tell people that's great about working in college athletics is no 2 days are the same. And a big part of that is because you show up at a game, you never know the outcome ahead of time. You never know what's going to happen. You may think you know, but you really never know the outcome. And there's always a chance you get to see something you've never seen before. Well, once the lockdown occurred, every day became the same, and we had nothing surprising in our day-to-day activity, and it just kind of heightens to me the what we missed from sports. So you hate it for the certainly hate it for the student athletes, and we had seniors in winter sports that did not get a chance to complete the championship portion of their schedule. We had obviously a lot of spring sports cut short. The other thing about the spring sports not occurring is Florida's typically pretty good at those. That's a fun time of year around here. We have a lot of teams that hold up trophies at the end of their seasons, and so that's you look at all the teams that were highly ranked in the spring season and how many were ranked in the top 5 or top 10. You hate to see that for your athletes. You hate to see it for your coaches who work so hard. It's their livelihood, and they're putting a lot into that, making a lot of sacrifices to be as good as they can be there. But I think everybody's had a great attitude. I think the NCAA made a really good move about giving the spring sport athletes their year back. I know we have several would-be seniors who are going to take advantage of that. We're going to get to see them wearing the orange and blue again next spring. So, we'll all learn from this. We'll all grow from it. But boy, it's not been very fun going through it.
Not at all. Scott, when you look at, with the COVID thing, obviously the only sports I think that at the University of Florida that actually make money are football and men's basketball. A lot of places around the country are probably going to have to eliminate some of their sports. Some already have. I don't think that'll ever happen at the University of Florida. But with no spring sports, this may be a silly question, no spring sports being played this year, did that help the athletic budget?
It ended up being revenue neutral because we did not get any money that we normally get from the NCAA basketball tournament. And so any money we saved on teams not traveling or competing this spring, it's kind of offset by the fact that there's some money, some revenue that we did not see from NCAA basketball tournaments and other things. I will say this, even if it cost us money, even if we'd saved a lot of money by not playing, I would have gladly paid that money to have a chance to see our athletes compete. But, we are fortunate that we're in a pretty good financial situation through this fiscal year. And obviously we're hoping for a return to normal here pretty soon, so we can have a great 2021 school year and athletic year as well.
I think my son had his COVID test. I think some players are going to start reporting back June 8th. Tell us a little bit about how that's going to work. I don't think they're going to have to work out in groups. And then obviously, do you think I'm just asking here, do you think we're going to be able to start this football season on time? And if we are allowed fans, what are your thoughts? Is it going to be a packed house? 40,000, 15,000 allowed to go to the Swamp?
Well, our staff has done a great job on getting a plan in place for the athletes to return as safely as possible, given what we currently know. And I'm going to preface everything to answer both parts of your question. There's so much we're still learning about this virus. And you talk to the experts at UF Health, and we're so fortunate to have UF Health as part of our campus and our community. And we have so many brilliant people over there that work in infectious diseases and entomology and all this, epidemiology and all. And they will tell you that so much of the guidance we're getting right now is kind of a defensive fallback posture because they really don't understand a lot about COVID-19. And as they do learn a little by little, some of the stuff is changing. One thing that you mentioned working out in small groups, which is we're not going to have the whole football team working out at one time. They're not even going to work out in the weight room. We're going to move all of our weight equipment over to the football indoor facility where we can open doors up because the infectious disease experts they tell us that they don't think it spreads hardly at all outdoors. And so as opposed to a indoor weight room where the air is circulated, the same air is circulated, try to make it as outdoor as possible. So we have a beautiful indoor facility. We're going to take advantage of that. And any of our students who come back for voluntary workouts, they're going to have the opportunity to work out over there under a controlled situation where they have temperature checks and symptom checks every day. As you mentioned, your son getting tested. I've been tested this week. Everyone's been screened. So we're going to make sure that we don't have asymptomatic people walking in the door the first day. And then we're just going to try to stay on top of it as best we can and make sure that we're keeping everyone as safe as possible. And because we don't know much about it right now, if we were playing today, we wouldn't have a full stadium. But fortunately, we have another 3 months plus before we have to play a game. And I'm hopeful that we'll continue to learn enough that will allow us to make it look as normal as possible when we do kick off. It's way too early right now. We're playing, had a friend tell me a good rule of thumb with all of this is to predict nothing and plan for everything. And so that's kind of what we're doing right now is we're not going to predict, but we're going to be prepared for whatever comes in front of us.
There's been some talk about just playing conference games and eliminating the so-called cupcake games, what have you. But me personally, I hope that does not happen because the South Alabamas of the world, Troy, those type schools, they need to be playing in the swamp to get the payday. But it's also a great experience for their kids who weren't good enough to go to Florida, but they get an opportunity to play in SEC big time stadium. Do you think there's any way that we eliminate those type games possibly?
I don't starting on time and playing a regular schedule. And we start off with Eastern Washington, and they've made it clear to us that they're planning on coming to Gainesville and playing September 5th. And you mentioned South Alabama, who's on our schedule this year, along with New Mexico State. And they have all indicated that they're planning on playing. So, and we're planning on playing. So that's right now that's the mindset, and we're gonna keep going down that path and hope the optimism we've felt the last few weeks continues.
Scott, you've only been here 3 or 4 years or what have you as athletic director. What has anything surprised you? Being in charge of the Gator athletic program.
There's two things. Number one, it is amazing the high caliber people we have in our program, both athletes and staff and coaches. It's just, I always tell the story. The first student athlete that I had a conversation with after I was named AD was a young lady who was a women's tennis player, and she had just come back from playing in the U.S. Open because her and her doubles partner had won the NCAA doubles championship the year before. And I've been in college athletics a long time. I don't remember having a current student athlete play in the U.S. Open in tennis. And that's just, you run into that all the time, whether it's Grant Holloway in track or Caleb Dressel in swimming, or you can go down the list of all the great athletes we have walking around our campus. Same thing for coaches. So just the sheer talent of the people that we get a chance to be around all the time is really special. The second thing that I think Florida gets a bad rap about is our fans are really good. I mean, they're really awesome. They're supportive. And there's a perception out there that Florida fans are a little spoiled and might not be very grounded as far as what realistic expectations should be. And I hate that term, realistic expectations. But I think our fans are incredibly supportive, positive. You're always going to have some that are a little more vocal than others, but I think Gator Nation's gotten a bum rap, and I'm always blown away just how supportive they are, how positive they are. I'm not saying everybody's happy when we lose a game. I get that, but that is any fan base anywhere is going to respond the same way. But I think our fans are really good. I think we're really fortunate, and I think they're a real key to our strength.
So what is Scott Stricklin? I mean, you're a busy, busy man, especially now with the craziness. What does Scott Stricklin do for fun? Do you golf? Do you play tennis? What do you do?
Yeah, I golf a little bit when I can. My game is real inconsistent because my opportunities to play are inconsistent. That's a game, as you know, you gotta play pretty consistently to be good at it. I like to read and I run a little bit, try to work out every now and then, stay in shape, and then hang out with my family. Got a wife and 2 daughters, and I have a daughter at Mississippi State who's just finished her freshman year, and another in high school with us here. And try to spend as much time I can with them.
That's good. The last thing for you, Scott. I don't know how well you knew the HBC before you got here, but obviously he's roaming the halls up there. There's nobody like that guy. What's it like having Coach Spurrier around?
Oh, it's awesome. And he's actually my neighbor. And
yeah, I knew that too.
I get to see him not only at work, but I get to see him out in the front yard every now and then. He's really, he is such a unique individual.
Mm-hmm.
And you when you visit with him, you get a sense for the competitiveness, the way the mind works, his recall, and his ability to boil things down to the most simplest. He'll take really complex issues and boil them down to really simple approaches, and you can see the genius in that, especially as a leader, as a coach. So what a fun thing that is. I kind of pinch myself sometimes because I remember being in the SEC when he was dominating here at Florida, and as you know, he wasn't very well liked outside of the state of Florida, and you see him now, you think, man, how can anybody not like this guy? I get it. I remember the clips. I remember his digs and how he'd go after people. But, what a special guy. And I know, I tell you what, Shane, that when he came in and then put you behind center, that was something no one had ever seen before in this league. And you guys totally changed the trajectory of SEC football, not just for a few years, but I think even to this day. I mean, the forward pass was front and center, obviously, going from that point on, and it was just kind of like a perfect marriage of the perfect quarterback in the perfect system with the perfect coach at the perfect time. And when you're at a school that played Florida, it wasn't a lot of fun, but it was kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, Scott, we appreciate it. It's fun watching all your athletic programs and what you've done here for us. Hope you and your family stay safe, and hope we'll be kicking the football off here pretty soon.
Look forward to it, Shane. Thanks for having me on, man. Go Gators.
Absolutely. That's our athletic director, Scott Stricklin. We're going to take a time out here. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. Welcome back to a Friday edition of Pot Up with Matthews.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice for rug cleaning. And Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, Gator Bait Media, and Davis Chevrolet.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
He's looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Good time out here. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. Welcome back to a Friday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Can't thank Amanda Lorenz, who I think is the best softball player to ever play at the University of Florida, outside of being a pitcher, for joining the program from California. And our athletic director, Scott Stricklin, taking time out of his day in this crazy world, joining the show. Hey, folks, Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate, with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Tommy Hilfiger, Hotel Indigo, Nike, Medici's, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators come to celebrate. Also, this day in sports brought to you by the Best Restoration. Do you have COVID-19 concerns? Do what everyone is doing and hire the Best Restoration to fully sanitize and sterilize your home or office. Visit their offices this week for a free bottle of hand sanitizer when you mention the code SHANE. Call them at 352-234-8994. This day in sports in 1990, Ricky Henderson steals record 893rd base, breaking Ty Cobb's record. We want to thank the Best Restoration for sponsoring that segment. Also, folks, hey, go and follow us on Facebook Live. You can like us, but we want you to really follow us. You can also check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts as well. Let's see, on Monday's show, we're going to kick off the week with Mike Morgan, who is a Gator grad, works for the SEC Network. We'll talk about what he's been up to, what his thoughts are on college football kicking off on time. And the second portion of that program on Monday, we're going to be joined by Kenyon Weeks, number 52. Wait till you hear some stories about Kenyon Weeks. Gator great shooting guard, one of Billy Donovan's first recruits, played in that first national title game for Billy Donovan. But that's going to be pretty much a wrap for today's show. Again, go follow and like us on Facebook Live. Please, please, please do that. Have a great weekend, everyone. You've been watching Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Have a great weekend and take care.